You don't get it.
But
you don't get it. You don't get it.
You feel like you're part of the problem because you also highlighted that pressure could be too much for the 15-year-old son. That's the first thing you went to.
We are going all over the fucking place.
No, I'm just saying that.
Listen, whoa. Just one second.
But you made an excuse for him.
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. He brought up the bear. He brought it up. Okay, this wasn't even part of the fucking conversation right now.
It was a reference.
Just throwing a fucking monkey wrench into the conversation.
No, it wasn't. It was just a reference. It was an example to bring up the overall point of straight and masculine men. It was a reference, an example that he used to say that when we talk about men, especially amongst women, when women are having these conversations about men, the men that are brought up are the men that do the weird shit. So then when you get in a conversation about a bear, would you rather be stuck on an island with a bear or a man? What is brought up is men doing the weird shit, as if there are no men that are just normal, that are, listen, I'm stuck on an island with a woman, I'm gonna protect her from whatever. What has happened is the sexual assault and all these other unforeseen, unfortunate incidents has traumatized women so much to make them think that all men are like that, and that's really unfortunate.
Male masculinity. That has nothing to do with the fucking bear.
Got it.
That was not.
It has everything to do with the erasure of men and what it is to be a man.
Look.
And that's a man telling you.
No, just wait 1 second.
But even that, a man can't tell you nothing.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
There was this case that unfolded in fucking France, and her name, and the woman's at the helm of this case, her name is Giselle Pellicotte. Mm-hmm. She was 70 years old, mm-hmm. and her husband spent the better part of a decade drugging her and advertising to men to come over and sexually assault her. And she did not know it. And do you know who these men were? There was like 50 of them, 51 of them got, some form of, punishment, legal punishment. Mm-hmm. These men were doctors, plumbers, lawyers, they were family men, mm-hmm. they were grandfathers, they were all the things. The whole point is that there is no face of a predator. There's no face.
That's facts, Mel. Mel has a point there. Listen, like, I'm gonna point out bullshit, but I'm also give flowers where they're necessary, right? Mel brings up a good point. The only thing I would say is, again, we focused on there's way more men that are normal than are men that do weird shit. And unfortunately, because even with the details, they're doctors, they're lawyers and stuff like that, even with those things, they get pointed out when we're having these discussions about the men that do that weird shit. But there's way more men that are just perfectly normal out there. But unfortunately, these events are so traumatic that it makes women think that every man is like this, or there's more than 50% of the men that are out there are on weird shit. And unfortunately, that's not the case. I personally believe that there is nothing that will be done to undo this type of thinking or this type of perspective. There's nothing that'll be done. It is what it is. So it's a conversation that is worth having, but it's not a conversation. There's no conversation. There's no solution, in my opinion, to get things back to the way they were, because these men were always out there. This is not new. This is not a new phenomenon amongst men. This has always been going on since before I was born, since before you was born. This has always been going on, but it's such a conversation now, in my opinion, because we have social media, and social media makes those conversations, when they talk about those men, those conversations go viral, not necessarily about the men that's actually, setting their kids up, setting themselves up, doing things the right way and stuff like that. It's really unfortunate, man. But Mel makes a great point.
No look. There's no nothing. You can't tell. So when women are talking about sexual assault, it has nothing to do with, be afraid of, men because they're just scary. It's just there's no fucking picture as to what a predator looks like. The predator can look like your next door fucking neighbor. The predator can look like your fucking father. The predator can be your uncle, can be your brother, can be anybody.
I'm going to
so it has
describe what raising a man looks
Joe,
like.
Can I say he does not become a predator? Can I say something to you, Joe?
What the fuck?
Here's my thing.
Here's my thing. Agreed.
Here's my thing.
Because that's really
we are so used to we are so used to looking down upon black men. Not saying you're doing it, but people is, because the first thing you said, and I said this when he said about what he's teaching his 15-year-old son, is that you made an excuse by saying that.
It's not an excuse.
Do you think
I asked a question.
You asked a question, sorry, Mel, saying that do you think it may be too much pressure on this child?
Do you want to know why?
We don't think that.
Do you want to know why I asked that?
We teach our boys.
Do you know why?
I want to know why you asked
This is why I asked it.
Yes, ma'am.
Simple reason why. Because as black people, black women, black men,
Yes.
we are forced to grow up a lot faster than we should. Okay? We are looked at as more mature than our years actually, dictate. And that is unfair. That's unfair to both black female children and black male children. They should be able and they should be allowed to have a childhood, full childhood. That was the only reason why I asked. Had nothing to do with him making a poor decision.
I do get that, because on the flip side, the flip side of that be the girl that is maybe 13, 14, and you got to take care of your siblings now.
Yeah.
You're being forced to be.
Because society, that's some of the positions that society afford to people.
And I understand that, but Anthony Mackie is very, very rich. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of access to things. I'm just talking about him specifically.
Okay,
I'm not talking about, say the single mom who's got several children and she's got to work 2 jobs, and yes, then she relies on her children, and I understand that. I'm not talking.
Is that an exception? Do you give that an exception?
And I will give him that he could be considered an exception to the rule. That was the only reason why I asked that question.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with, the concept of masculinity being bastardized or forced upon him too early. No, it's just like he's still kind of a kid, and he should be able to be a kid. That's the only reason why I asked it.
Do you know what it's like? In closing, for me, when we say be a kid, right? People used to say that pertaining to me and my son, because I teach them the same values of being a man. Do you know, as soon as you take that hand off and let them be a kid, they succumb to peer pressure. They do stupid shit that kids do.
I've done it.
They forget the guidance and the rules that you instill in them. So
I've done it. I've folded the peer pressure before.
Stop being a bitch and come on.
But you know what I'm saying? I bounce back from it and learn from my mistakes.
when we say let them be a kid, what does that entail? Right? Let them be a kid. Being a kid, cool, you can have fun, but it comes to some rules and regulations when it comes to being a kid. You can't just let a kid be a kid.
Okay.
I mean, this is a whole separate conversation, but I want to say that because I hear that a lot. And I'm a prime example of, let them be a kid and taking that off. And then shit go haywire.
Look, let them be a kid don't necessarily mean taking a hand off. They just talk about putting the added responsibility on the kid. That ain't necessarily, you can still have your rules and, the way you're guiding this kid.
Got it.
And let them grow up without basically being a parent or the father of the house.
Okay.
Both can happen.
I feel like, in closing, I feel...
Somebody close
okay.
us out. Yeah, get out of here.
Okay. I was just going to say, I feel like, that I had a lot of responsibility put on my shoulders way too early. I wasn't allowed to be a kid, like for as long as I should have been. I wasn't allowed. And so that's the only reason why I asked the question. It had nothing to do with the concept of masculinity.
Look what you became. Look at smart, intellectual,
yeah,
focused, determined.
Yeah.
Highlight the positivities of that.
Can I add that
It's
too?
great. I will, but go on. Go.
No, I think it's great. I think,
Successful,
Yes,
Yeah,
but
beautiful,
it was...
strong, resilient.
yes.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Let me think of some more adjectives. Fucking one of the brightest. One of the fucking strongest.
Extremely.
Resilient,
With the
tenacious.
most will, determined.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
There you go.
There you go.
Or-
There you go.
Okay, all right. Moving right along.
Yo.
All right, so what I'm gonna say in closing is that I understand why Joe kind of blew up in the middle of the conversation, and I loved it. I love the drama. I love when tensions are high and discussions and stuff like that, because it shows me how passionate people are about what they're talking about, right? So reason why I believe that Joe blew up in the middle of it is because this is something that he has observed has been going on for a while now, and in this conversation, he wanted to, for once get his point across, and for for the listeners to understand, this is a problem. This wasn't supposed to be, what it was like being taught how to be a man's man, and we get, shitted on the way we get shitted on. This is why I believe Joe blew up in the conversation. Now, excuse me, Ish and Ice, I believe that's their names. I'm sorry. I'm gonna learn their names. I'm sorry, but Ish and Ice, you know what I'm saying? They made great points. Mel made great points. I had issue with some of the things that Mel was pointing out. But I just believe that, hey, listen, Joe, he blew up because this is something that's been going on, and this was his frustration on society and social media highlighting the weird shit and not really highlighting, or also we're kind of getting to a point where when we talk about men, the masculine men are not being talked about. It's men doing the weird shit. And that is also why I see I see that in his frustrations, to be honest with you. And he has a point. You know what I'm saying? The whole conversation was pretty good in my opinion, but I'm just glad that I'm glad that they were able to have these types of conversations, these type of mature conversations, and both sides, you know what I'm saying, able to bring what they have to the table, and then we sort out whatever it is we sort out. In these types of conversations, no one's particularly wrong in this particular conversation, but there's definitely sides to be picked, and there's definitely things to be pointed out where, listen, as a society, we need to do better. It's not an option. Like, we need to do better. At the end of the day, like, besides all this social media and conversation stuff, when masculine men go out and stuff like that, masculine men usually, typically, you know what I'm saying, wound up how they always been. They always wound up married with kids, you know what I'm saying, passing things off to their families and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, laying a foundation for the family to continue going and stuff like that. So it's really like, it's just a social media thing. But when you come off social media and come back into reality, like, you know what I'm saying, and then you go in a room amongst men, you know what I'm saying, everybody, eventually we know who's who. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna take a man that, like, doesn't stand on his core beliefs and his core values, other men are gonna realize that, and then you're not in the circle no more. Like, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And then the men that do have that backbone, that are willing to speak up and defend their core beliefs and defend the people that are with them, those men get respected, and you just start seeing how men react to one another based on those respect factors that, you know, one man demands or warrants, you know what I'm saying, versus another man. These things happen all the time when you step off social media and you come back into reality. This is more so just a social media thing that's been going on, where, again, when you talk about men, the conversation is the ones that's doing the weird shit, and not really the men that's actually doing what they're supposed to do in society. So that's all.